Hi, all. This is John again, broadcasting from the Two Malls Broadcasting Network. This session we're gonna do. I'm adding I got a backhoe on my Kubota here, and I find that it needs an umbrella. When I'm in the sun, half the time, out of the shade, it's very sunny, and you're stuck, sitting on a seat when you're doing the backhoe stuff. So anyway, so I got a tractor seat or a tractor umbrella that we're going to install brackets on. So you'll see that. That's what we're going to do this session. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this session. It'll also you'll see that it's been a learning adventure for me, because at this point I've already done the project. So I learned the hard way that I don't know, I must have done 15 segments, something like that. And I had my trusty microphone, but the thing about these microphones is they're really slick, but they're only good if you really turn them on. And so I had like 15 sessions that I had to not reboot. I had to, overdub, I guess you'd say. So anyway, so you'll see as we go through this, most of this video is been redubbed because I forgot to turn on the microphone. So that's my lesson for this. That's what I learned on this adventure. So anyway, stay tuned.
So this is my tractor that I've got that I just added a backhoe to. It's a B2650 Kubota. You can see up under the hood there it is, 2650. This machine I've had it for it's a 2019, so I've had it for about 6 years. So this is the backhoe that was added to it. Just I guess about a month ago, something like that. It's a great machine. I really like the machine. So, but when you have it, you put the outriggers on and you're sitting on the seat there, and you're in the sun. You're in the sun. So I thought, why don't I put an umbrella on this thing? So that's what we're gonna do. So this is the umbrella. It came from Farmer Bob, and came undamaged. The box looks pretty rough, but this is what it looks like. I've already assembled it, and as I should have done it in the YouTube thing, but I didn't even think about it until after I was finished assembling it. So what I did here was I've got a bunch of these spools around, so I drilled holes in it, because the first thing I had to do was say, how am I gonna deal with this thing? So I drilled holes in the spool, so I've got a place to mount it. So this is the main rod, I guess you'd say. It's got a ball joint there with a little. You can loosen it and tighten it and move it around and spin it up and down and that sort of thing. So it adjusts quite a bit. So it's a very nice umbrella in the way it's set up. This is the part that is the universal mount that to me was a little kludgy. So you're going to drill holes all over, and I thought, surely I can do better than that. So that's what we're going to try to do. In this video, we're going to build a different bracket. So this one just doesn't. I mean, it's got all these little latches, and it's a universal mount. So you get what that is. So anyway, we're going to keep going, and you see how this hoop works. It's like you see in every tractor, and well, not nowadays, but the old tractors, that's the way they were set up. Nowadays, they're all air conditioned, so it's kind of it's old world, I guess you'd say. So that's what we have here. So here it is, all opened up. But there's 4 arms that hold up the canvas. The canvas is nice and heavy, and this is the way it looks underneath. I guess the driver's view as opposed to the bird's eye view. So when you get under here, you can adjust this L rod. It's threaded into that universal joint there, and allows you to tilt it and spin it around, of course. So hopefully keep yourself always out of the sun. And this is the latch on how it releases. So I put my thumb back there. So there you go. So you push down. What happens? We'll see it on another one here. This one, you push it together, there's a slot that I point to. Right there, there's a slot in that rod. And so when you press this clip, it releases, it pulls that arm or the little bracket out of the slot, and then it allows you to fold that arm down. So I got it from Farmer Bob. This is a nice umbrella. One of the things you got to notice, you got to do this, is you have to add these, put zip ties at the end here to hold the end of the canvas so it doesn't slip up. It's just it's a little S shape on the rod here, but it will slip up there if it doesn't, if you don't zip tie it down. So anyway, so that's the way this thing works. It's nice heavy canvas. I really like the setup on this thing. It seems like a very nice umbrella, except for the thing that's kind of weird is it's a universal mount. Okay, so here's my plan. So this bracket, G4 galvanized 10 gauge that I got from work, and it's going to fit right here on the ROPS. And I'm going to cut it up, and you'll see what. So I'm going to slice it down the side. This one bracket I'm going to cut in half, so there'll be one lower one and one upper one. So this is kind of the lower position. And you can see the backhoe there. But what we're going to do then is I'll cut it so that it wraps around, and then I'm going to use the stainless steel hose clamps to hold it on once they get a. You'll see. I hope. We'll see. As in all projects for me, they all begin with a trip to Fleet Farm, usually. So here's the stuff I got from Fleet Farm. I got a piece of 1.25" galvanized pipe, which it's a tight fit, but the umbrella stand slides in, and so that's what we're going to use to actually hold it. We'll weld those to the bracket that I showed earlier, the big bracket we have to cut up, and then this is how we're going to attach it. I'm going to wrap rubber around the ROPS and then use hose clamps, which that comes from a trip to Napa, but that hasn't happened yet. So, and with the bracket, I'm going to cut up the bracket as I showed you earlier, and then I'm going to have a standoff between the bracket and the pipe there we're going to cut. So I got two different sizes. I used a larger one, but as you'll see when we come up to the place where we actually put it together, that isn't tall enough. So here's the bracket that I showed earlier, and how we're going to kind of get an idea of. I'm going to cut it in half lengthwise. So here's how we're going to do. This is how I did the actual bracket itself, as I said, that I got from work. Put it in a vise and used my cutoff saw, sliced it up, and it works pretty. So the G4, that stuff is the 10 gauge is pretty thick, so it chewed up a cutoff wheel pretty fast. But this is the end result, is the bracket, as I mentioned, trimmed down to fit just around the ROPS, and then I cut lengths of pipe to, this is the bottom one, so the bottom one will extend beyond the bottom of the where the bracket is, so that you get the full length of the umbrella rod. So when I cut off the standoffs, I used a chop saw. I guess this is an action shot. You get an action shot. I didn't do the other with the cutoff saws. It's, everybody knows how to do that. It's kind of easy enough to do. So anyway, I don't want to bore you with like floor shots or whatever. I guess that's okay. So most of my projects usually end up with the wire wheel or the grinder. So depending on how things turn out. So anyway, this is it. We're going to be here. I spent time. You see, this is a standoff kind of wire wheeling after I ground it off. Get it nice, smooth, clean corners, clean edges. Another floor shot for you. I know those are always fun. So, but this is what the bracket looks like. So it's been ground, not polished, but ground, and I radiused the corners, cut the pipe, ground down the pipe around the edges. What you'll notice about it, as I mentioned, it was a tight fit with the pipe, and you can kind of see it right there is that line down the middle of the inside of the pipe is the seam. And so that's a hindrance I'm having. So I used a little rat tail file and a drill just to kind of clean up take off some of the edge of that seam down the middle of the inside of the pipe. And that was all I needed. And then it was perfect as far as the umbrella stand fitting in there. So this is where we get to the fun part, kind of the fitment and laying it out and the jigging. As you see, I start with the pipe. I'm going to put the standoffs weld into the pipe, and what I use is a Lincoln MIG welder. It's one of the, I don't know, I think it was 120 bucks 15 years ago. It's been a great, I've been through rolls and rolls of wire, so it's been a great unit. So I have no problems at all with it. So you can see the, CO2 and argon in the back. So in the past, I've done the big stuff. I got a Lincoln Trailblazer 302 for the big stuff. And what I'm going to find out here. So we're trying to get the alignment here as I show. And then what happens is, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is being after dubbed. So what happens at this point is I fire up the welder, make some passes, and it's just not going well at all. It's just sputtering and spattering, and I can't get it to meld with a galvanized at all. And then it occurs to me that the last time I did stuff like this, I used the big welder. That makes a big difference. So, with a smaller welder like I had here at this the Lincoln, you have to grind off the galvanized coating. You see, I've done it here on the brackets, and I also did the same thing on the pipe. And once I did that, it still sputters a little bit, but made a decent bead, at least to be able to join the two, or it's more than two. So what I did was, I leave the gap there, and that's for the hose clamps. Then I'll put 2 hose clamps on each bracket, and that's what the gap is between the standoffs. So, but the key here is grinding off that galvanized coating. Should have known better. So this is the piece of pipe that's been ground. The galvanized coating's been ground off, and then I've welded the standoffs, and it worked pretty well. It's not the most beautiful bead, but it came out pretty well. The spatter wasn't terrible, as it usually is with galvanized. So it would have been nice with a big stick. I wouldn't have had to do the grinding, but it would have made a mess with these little standoffs, needless to say. So that's what we've got. That's where we're at with these. And so this is where you can see where I ground off the pipe, and just the place where the standoffs are. And as I said, the standoffs have a gap there so that we can run hose clamp around the bracket to hold the whole thing in place on the ROPS. So this is the bottom of the lower bracket, and I'm going to make sure that when I put the umbrella pipe in, or the umbrella stand in there, it doesn't slip out the bottom. So I'm going to put some little beads of weld there to hold it. So this is where I jig it up. I actually use the ROPS that's a folding one, so it folds up, and so this is the ROPS, the top part that's been taken off. And so I just wanted to get it in here in line so that I knew that everything was in alignment and the orientation was right. So that's what I've done here in order to. So the pipes have the standoffs, and then the brackets are just sitting on the ROPS. So this is where we start to go. Make it interesting. So here they are. I've got them welded up now. The bracket has been welded to the pipe and with the standoffs. And you remember when I said that I used the bigger of the 2 standoffs because I thought that would be just right? It's not. See, like that end, the end of the MIG is much bigger than the gap that's in there. So between the pipe and the bracket on the side. So I ended up just going top and bottom and weld them up good like that. So that's, it's whole. You can see the little nubs I put on there too, and that's going to be plenty adequate for an umbrella stand, I believe. So, but anyway, just one of those things. Best laid plans. It's like, it looks pretty, but
So here we are, the painting phase of it, hanging from the rafters here like I do. And there were a couple different versions of how I was going to do this. I wasn't really sure because, I ground off the galvanized, so here's the other piece. And I actually taped it up. I had the blue tape out and taped off the part that didn't get ground down, and then it's like, this is kind of silly. It's galvanized. So what I did was little crotch. In the crotch, I used gray primer in the crotch, because that's just the standoffs are they're just steel, and so I actually put I put primer in there, and then I went down to the basement and found some Valspar metallic, um, brilliant silver. So anyway, so that's what I used to paint um, the brackets. So, which I think will work out pretty well with the umbrella post itself. So anyway, so this is the painting part. So here we have our finished product. We've got our two brackets, and then the post for the umbrella. I was going to wrap the ROPS with rubber. I always like to use rubber so it protects the metal, that sort of thing. I didn't realize until I got this inner tube out and cut it open that it's self-sealing, which means it's got all kinds of green goo inside. It was quite nasty. So anyway, and then there's hose clamps. We're going to try to use that to hold the brackets on through the openings that we made. So anyway, that's the plan. So let's get started and see if we can get that thing mounted up there. So here it is. I put the piece of rubber on here. There was about an 1/8 of an inch gap, but when I put this rubber on, that it did the trick. So which makes it just fit just right now. So I'm going to do the clamps next and see how that goes. So here we are trying to get these get the clamps on here. So let's see how this. Here like so. So I got the clamps around here. Let's get this started. It looks like they're going to be too long. I wasn't sure what size to get, so obviously I overkilled. So looking, we got our got to make them equal so they're match. We like matchy, so. Let's see if that brings it a little closer. That's pretty close for them. This is going to hold this pretty good. So I thought we'd start with put the second bracket up there as well, just so that we make sure we've got our alignment with the pipe itself. So looks like we're going to be good. So then I remembered that I got to put this on first. So you can't put this on until you put that on, and all the other things that have to happen. So put this over here, try to get it out of the way a bit. Get this bracket. See which side we want up. That matters, not really. It's not super pretty on either side, so as you folks have borne witness to, I guess you'd say. So anyway, so this is how I did the last one too. So put the rubber up there, and it just fits. The rubber just, because there was about as I mentioned earlier, there was a gap, and the here between the ROPS and the bracket, and this rubber just fills it up just perfectly. So now I gotta redo the same. I want to at least get these started on there so I don't have to worry about threading them before we put the umbrella pipe in. So getting these straightened out a little bit so I don't want to scratch, you know. And maybe this time we'll kind of measure them the same, so hopefully they'll be at the same spot on the same position here. So at least that would be the goal. So we'll see if that's actually what happens or not. So second bracket, second here we go. Those are pretty close. So we get started on the redoing the clamps. These are the greatest invention, these clamps. I love these things. I use them for all kinds of stuff. So keep the rubber straight here, boys and girls. Okay, so we got both clamps up here. We got our both brackets up, clamps up. So let's try the magic here. Down through the first. Now I got to position, remember up here I got to position it so that my clamp still works for the umbrella itself. So boom. I touch down here, below here, I can see that that's it. So whoop. Let's see. Well, there we go. I think we're going to be good here. I don't think this is going to go anywhere. So the next thing is, if you'll hold on a minute, I have to go get the umbrella. We'll see how that fits. Bingo. Close her down. It looks like we are golden here. So we got our umbrella, got our tripod. So I'm going to open this up and so you get the full effect here. Well, folks, there it is. Opened up all the way. Let's see when I do the next job when it's sunny out if I need to adjust the pipe height. It looks like a pretty good height. You can see the chair is, and it might be a little too high. So I might have to trim off the the bottom of the pipe that actually has the umbrella on it. But other than that, you see it's mounted up there well. We are good to go. Anyway, so I hope you all enjoyed the umbrella bracket video. Um, so stay tuned for the next thing we're going to do. I don't know what it'll be. It's been, I got so many projects going on, but what's next? I just don't know. But thanks for watching.